Every office has one. That person who's been sitting at the same desk for 23 years. They know every shortcut in the building. They remember when the office still used filing cabinets. They use an old school ceramic coffee mug. They have their family photos on their desk. They've worked under 5 CEOs, survived 3 restructures, and watched dozens of employees come and go. If you ask them about their job, they'll probably laugh before answering. They would say things like, "Management has been terrible for years. Nothing ever changes around here. I'm just counting down to retirement." They've been saying that for the last 11 years, and yet every Monday morning they badge into the building again. You've probably met someone like this. Maybe it's your father, your mother, your manager, or the colleague who trained you on your first day. Or maybe, if you're honest with yourself, it's becoming you. To a younger professional, this level of endurance is baffling. I mean, we're in an era where changing jobs every year is the standard strategy to get a salary bump. Staying at one company for 2 decades looks more like a self-inflicted prison sentence. So, you tell them, "Why are you still here? You could resign today, and another company would recruit you with a better paycheck." Except, it's not that simple, because if it were that simple, millions of people wouldn't spend decades in jobs they no longer enjoy. Physically, they could leave, but psychologically, quitting that job is almost impossible, and that's because what keeps many people in the same workplace isn't loyalty at all. After all, loyalty has limits. It also has very little to do with laziness, a lack of ambition, or being afraid of change. The reason they stay starts with something your brain has been doing long before you ever had a career. For instance, have you ever gone to a restaurant and ordered the same meal you've been ordering for years? Not because it's the best thing on the menu, just because you know you'll enjoy it. Or maybe you instinctively reach for the same seat in the meeting room, even when every other chair is empty. If you have, you'll understand that you don't do them consciously. It's more like a mental shortcut. This is because your brain loves familiarity, and familiarity feels safe. Psychologists call this status quo bias. It's our natural tendency to prefer keeping things the way they are, even when a different option might actually be better. Now play that out in the context of choosing whether to leave the company you've worked at for the last 22 years. That basically means deciding whether to walk away from 2 decades of familiarity. The same building where everyone knows your name, the same route you've driven thousands of times, the colleagues who watched your children grow up through the photos on your desk, the manager who knows how you work without you having to explain yourself, the inside jokes and the annual holiday parties. From the outside, it looks like they're choosing between 2 jobs, but psychologically, that's not the choice their brain is making. Their brain is choosing between certainty and uncertainty. And our brains are remarkably good at convincing us that certainty is worth protecting, even when certainty isn't making us happy. This is one of the reasons older generations, particularly many baby boomers and Gen X, stayed with one employer far longer than younger workers do today. Many of them came of age during a time when staying put made sense. For decades, loyalty was rewarded. They stayed with a company. The company invested in them. Promotions were more predictable. Pensions were common. Long service was a badge of honor. And leaving too often could even make employers question their commitment. But what becomes fascinating is that even after the workplace changed over the years, many people's decision-making didn't change with it. Because once a behavior becomes part of your identity, your brain stops questioning it. It starts defending it. And then there are the golden handcuffs. It's about the structural dependency built into a long-term corporate life. The corporate system designs benefits that make leaving look risky. They say that seniority promises better health insurance plans, higher vacation accruals, and predictable routines that match a mortgage payment and a family's lifestyle. But there is an even deeper layer to this. For decades, society taught professionals to build their entire sense of self around their job titles. When you are asked, "What do you do?" at a dinner party, the answer isn't just a description of tasks, it is a statement of who you are. When someone spends 20 years at a single company, the boundary between the individual and the institution begins to blur. The company's successes feel like personal victories. Its survival feels tied to their personal survival. To walk out the door voluntarily means tearing down a psychological monument they spent their entire adult life constructing. On the other hand, millennials and Gen Z look at the corporate world through the lens of a transaction. I give you labor, you give me market rate money, and the moment the math stops working, I walk. But Gen X and baby boomers were taught to view the workplace through the lens of stewardship. You don't abandon the ship just because the weather gets rough. You don't quit just because the environment becomes uninspiring. You endure, because that is what responsible adults do. They aren't wrong for staying, and younger workers aren't wrong for leaving. They are simply playing two entirely different games inside the exact same building. One generation is playing a game of survival through mobility, knowing the company won't protect them. The other is playing a game of survival through endurance, hoping the foundation they built will hold until retirement. In my next video, we're going to explore another workplace mystery that almost everyone has experienced, but very few people can explain. If that sounds like something you look forward to, subscribe and turn on your notifications. I'll see you in the next one.